Just voice recording something.
Oh, look at that.
Delete.
It's an Android.
Oh, I accidentally sent it. My bad.
You're fired.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Hey, ministry is hard. As you can tell, Samantha has a 20 fluid ounce Red Bull and what is next to that? A cup of water?
A kid's lemonade.
Oh, kids lemonade. Ministry is hard.
Ministry's hard.
You have paint all over your hands.
Literally sprinted
awesome.
up
I
the
love
stairs.
I love it. Let's kind of start the conversation here. I told you this morning you were going to do. We're in the middle of this month, Love Illuminated. You were going to go do some stuff, some work, and I just kind of tried to impart some wisdom into you
Yes.
of all the things that you want to do, and you're not allowed to. You can't accomplish all the things, and no matter how much you accomplish, people still won't be satisfied. So, like for instance. We won't call the person by name, but there was someone who commented on our live stream this past week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we as a church, your ministry, from your heart, we go take 2 vans and go pick up a large group of our brothers in Christ who sleep on the streets.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to say it.
Yep.
We feed them breakfast when they get here, a nice
do.
breakfast. Everybody in our church loves on them, wraps our arms around them. We feed them a nice lunch whenever they leave. We take them back. We do kind of ask them all to sit together.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, y'all, but just kind of, hey, y'all stay in this section so that, there's accountability to, the wanderings, the where they're going, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so, and we've been doing this for over a year now.
Oh, yeah. Over a year.
So I can think of one time we missed it because the kids had the vans at Winterfest, so we didn't have vans to get them. But other than that, this is consistent. Every single week. We're feeding them breakfast, lunch. We're picking them up. We're loving them. Not only that, this is just a thing that we do. We also are there, throughout the weeks and the months and different things of that nature. But this is something that we do, and then we get a comment, ministry's hard. We get a comment that says, you guys are terrible. I can't believe you don't let... I think the exact phrasing was like, homeless people sit on the front row.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
This is where, how do you not take a zoomed out picture of all that we do for this community from your desk, all that we do for this community, and then for that to be the thing that you pick out? We don't let anybody sit on the front row. We have reserved seats all over the front row because of something the safety team has asked us to do. We have reserved on all the front rows. But it feels like at times in ministry, y'all are going to know this as well. It feels like no matter how much good you do, people always seem to pick out the one little thing that they think they could do better or that they would have done differently, and they don't understand the hundreds of other decisions you're trying to make this ministry successful and it to be the most healthy version of what it can be. And so they pick out this one thing that we didn't even know was a thing. We never knew anybody wanted to sit on the front row. Who wants to sit on the front row?
I have no idea.
Exactly. But they pick out that one.
Complains.
They pick out that one thing, and they have frustration. When you heard the comment, what was your thoughts?
I thought, oh no, I hope this isn't someone that we're bringing to church. So we checked all of our records. We keep good record of who comes and who receives salvation, who receives baptism.
Yep.
So, we just like to know those things and who is coming consistently. We have a core group that has come this whole time. But I just thought, oh man, okay, this is just a squeaky wheel. I'm at that place now to where I can say that, and it doesn't, people that make those comments, I go, ugh, it doesn't bother me as much as when I first started in
I was about to say, because at first, that was hard for you.
Oh my gosh, heartbreaking. And then when I first started too, I had no idea what I was doing. And so you have these things that you think are helpful to people, this list of XYZ, people have this idea of what they need when really they need this whole other list of things. And so we've just learned a lot over the years of no, they just need people to love on them. Like,
Yep.
we're here for their spiritual care. They can go get clothes and stuff. You know, there are entities outside of the church that can fulfill those needs and those other things. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to love on them wherever they're at. And then hopefully, yeah, we give them the food and stuff. That's great. But that's just a bonus that we're able to do that for them. But we're really here to pour into them spiritually and to see them get saved.
You've been here 4 years, right at 4 years, maybe a little over 4 years.
Yeah.
How long in did it take you to get to that place?
I would say probably
4 years? No, I'm just kidding.
I would say probably like 2 years, really, to get to that place, because I'm like, man, I just love these guys so much. Like, when they come here, it just fills my cup. And not everybody has that viewpoint. There's always people that will criticize them or criticize us for what we're doing or not doing, like you said. But, yeah, it took me some time to get to that place.
It's wild. So let's go to campus ministry, because this is another area that's easy to critique. On all of the areas, pick a place to start. Like, there's always somebody that looks at what you've done or what you didn't do. You know, you had your big Easter event. It was awesome. And then there's always a critique. You have, you know, a service that's awesome. Then there's always a critique. Like, how do you deal with the voices from the cheap seats that have a opinion, but they don't have all of the information?
Yeah, for me, I would say that first I try to take what we're doing and let that be my anchor. So like what I'm talking about is like when we have our events that we're doing, I see the value in what we're doing there. And if I'm confident in what I'm doing with those events, if I believe in what we're doing, then when somebody brings criticism about an event, a service, or whatever, then I can be like, yeah.
That's easy to say right now, but going into the event, you were. What about this? What you remember? We were having these conversations.
Yeah.
What about this? What about this? What if they don't like this? What if nobody shows up here? What about this? So that's easy to say in the moment.
Yeah, I think that's natural to have those thoughts, but also you're talking to someone who I'm leading the charge here, and so like I'm gonna naturally have those thoughts for sure. And everyone's going to naturally have some thoughts of, can I do more? We've never done this before. How do we know people are even going to, show up to this thing? Mm-hmm. But I know at the end of the day, though, I also have to lead from a perspective of whatever we do, if it affects one person, like we say, like we truly have to believe that. And if not, yeah, then we may look at something and say, oh, because this many people didn't show up, then it's a flop, or this service didn't go the way we wanted to, so it's a flop. But it's
not so much results. I'm talking people looking and saying that one little snide remark that just goes, yikes, you have no clue how hard it was to pull off this event. We'll go to Easter Jam. Mm-hmm. You peeled back the curtain. You allowed the big kids to see what happens in kids ministry. Mm-hmm. And we got to see all of the craziness. We got to see all of the beauty that is kids ministry. It was amazing. But I know there's still, that one little snide remark of, oh, why aren't you teaching our kids? What was the song we were talking about on Monday morning or Sunday night this week? I'm in the Lord's Army. Why aren't you teaching our kids the Bible instead of, goodness of God or whatever? There's always that one poke you in the ribs type comment that people have no clue how hard it is to put on an Easter jam or a Sunday morning service in kids ministry. What does that do to you? What does that do to your innards?
Truthfully,
yeah, please.
It's upsetting. Like, it makes your blood boil a little bit because you're like, come join us. Come see how difficult it is to do what we do on a Sunday. And you'll see the impact that it is making and how the kids are learning. It would be the same thing if someone said, well, why aren't we singing, such and such song instead of this one in big church?
And they do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think the criticism, you have to, just like Samantha said, like over time, not that you become calloused to it, but you just come to a certain point where what you're doing is what you feel like the Lord has led you to do. And that has to reign over all of the comments and things that people say that are hurtful at times.
Yeah, I'm still not callous to it. I still struggle with
Me
every
too.
every little.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because I go to bed at night and I'm like, you know what? They're absolutely right. I should have done XYZ different. I should have done 1, 2, 3, and it is not easy to deal with the criticism. I talked maybe Easter Sunday, I talked about rejection, and that's kind of one of my things. So rejection is so real for me that criticism in my mind immediately turns to that person's rejecting me.
Yeah.
That person's rejecting what we're doing in ministry. Now that person's going to go tell 10 of their friends how they're rejecting what we're doing here in ministry. Now, and now they're going to reject me. And so it's this weird avalanche, if I'm not careful, of a small criticism turning into, an avalanche of rejection. You deal with rejection? You don't deal with rejection. You
No, I mean,
uber confident.
no, I mean, you can put off that, but I mean, still, we put a lot of sweat, blood, tears into what we do.
Yeah.
So when someone who doesn't have that much equity into something that we're doing says something, it's like they're talking about my kid.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, what in the world? Like, why do you feel like?
Yeah. If in this podcast, Tony mixed the sound, Caleb was setting up all the mics, all the cameras. If in this podcast something goes wrong, a mic's pointed at the wrong person that's talking, or somebody's mic cuts out, a camera pointed at the wrong person, somebody's mic cuts out, all these things. If in this podcast something goes wrong, it's really easy to critique people who had their hands in it. Not knowing that Samantha came rolling in on 2 wheels, hadn't had lunch. You just ordered Chick-fil-A for y'all because that's been the day that you're at. But you're at this place because you want to have healthy conversations to a church that's watching, to say, honestly, to our church people, to understand how some simple criticisms that aren't validated or aren't truly warranted can create an avalanche, but also to the pastors out there and church leaders out there that are watching this, that they get criticism as well and they think it's only them.
Yeah.
But we are literally doing our best to impact a community, and we get things said, oh, can't believe you don't let him sit on the front row.
Can't believe you don't have a single dad's ministry, but we have a single mom's
That's
ministry.
a single mom's ministry that's thriving.
Yes, it's
and
amazing.
Single dads upset. And we got 3, I don't know how many we have. Not many. They're not many single dads.
No, but I said to this single dad, thank the Lord it was this year where I'm at this place where I can say, man, that would be incredible. I would love to do that. But we need a man who is willing to, go through the steps that you need to take to become a leader and to lead this ministry well.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're right.
Yeah.
So it was a really healthy conversation. It was a great conversation. But
What do the people critique the most about campus ministry? In Aynor, there. What do people critique the most? Outreach events.
Outreach things we should be doing in the community.
Not doing it. My buddies over there.
Yeah.
His church is doing this.
Have you thought about doing this or this?
What about in kids ministry? What do the people critique the most?
I think just the most recently was just with the changes that we've made. And honestly, if people knew our reason behind it to make our space for kids more safe, they would completely understand. We have bathrooms that anyone before we made these changes, anyone could use. So it was constantly having to go in, sweep the bathroom to make sure no adults or anybody else was in there, then allowing kids to go to the bathroom. So it was a whole process. We had to have a safety team member involved, so that pulls the safety team member away from their post. And so in order to kind of cut down on some of that and the amount of people needed and to keep kids safe, we just blocked off the hallway. But that has created, mountains of issues for people in their minds because, how dare you not let us walk back up this hallway once we've checked kids out? But it's because we're trying to keep our bathrooms safe so that kids are safe while they're here,
It's so wild that people, and probably from the comment as well, from outreach events, from those sort of conversations, all they can think about is themselves in those moments, which is why ministry is so hard, because all we think about is the kingdom of God, how can we impact people?
Yeah.
And all other people think about is themselves. And then, we were Joseph and I were having a conversation today about some decisions he had to make. And I said, Joseph, I can honestly stand back here and say we made righteous decisions in the best interest of that human. And these weren't selfish decisions we made. We made righteous decisions for that human. And I don't know if maybe people question our motives or they question our intentions, and they can't assume that we're making decisions that are best for the humans that we oversee.
Yeah.
But people are so selfish that they just look at it and say, "What impact does this have on me?" Yeah. And we've dealt with people coming into dance competitions or whatever, and leaving Google reviews of how it was too cold or how we didn't sell popcorn or hot chocolate, and you're like, "You're kidding me."
Yeah.
Like, all the good that you're doing, and all people can see is this so selfish, so self-centered. Yikes.
Yeah.
So frustrating. Ministry's hard, man.
Ministry is hard.
But in spite of all of that, we have decided Samantha's amazing. She has this whole ministry that is thriving, doing incredible work inside of our community. But this month specifically, she's got her shirt on. It says Love Illuminated. This month specifically, we are we're calling it Love Illuminated. It's a sermon series I'm doing, trying to have a different outreach event every single day. People come to it. So this past few days, we're a few days into the month, we've done some unique, cool events. Today you're out painting New Direction, which is a how do they phrase it?
So it is for the unsheltered in the community. It's their shower facility. We call it the walk-in center. It's just a place where they can go shower, hang out, charge their phone, get out of the elements, do some laundry.
Perfect. So we went there, did some work, painted some walls, fixed some baseboards, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Samantha was leading that charge. Saturday, you both of you guys were at Miracle League
Yeah.
playing baseball with a group of kids out there. I know that's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, I loved it. It was
Talk,
fun.
It was
talk through.
incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. So they had like 3 games back to back, very structured. The players had their jerseys on, so it was 2 teams against each other. I think they maybe do it by age group or maybe ability
Yeah.
level. So they had like, the younger ones in the early morning, like an older group in the afternoon. They even had like an advanced team. So it was really
And
cool.
I say close to
Good
your
time.
heart because how many years did you work in the school system in this area?
Special education teacher for 9 years in public school.
9 years.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it reminds me of just like the excitement of a field trip to Special Olympics. Like, I loved it so much.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome. You guys did. You were a part of 2 recently. To the teachers there at the Aynor
Think about
School and to the Coastal Carolina kids
Yeah.
walking by. You're handing them. You're giving out biscuits and coffee and just having conversations about Jesus.
Yeah.
We got a voicemail
Voicemail.
yesterday
So
from a
cool.
grandma that their grandkid. Tell the story of the voicemail.
Yeah, so I really didn't even know anything about it. Samantha said, "Hey, I was in a meeting." She said, "I got a voicemail you're going to want to listen to." And I said, when she says that, you're like,
You're like, oh, what is somebody
people.
complaining
"One
about?
of them people," you know? And so I was like, I got done with my meeting, and I went in, and she started playing it. And it was this grandmother who just was saying, "Hey, my granddaughter goes to CCU. Your church was out there and was handing out biscuits and coffee, and she's struggled with this whole Jesus concept." And this opened up a conversation for me to be able to have with her about Jesus. And she said, this church didn't push anything on me. They were just out there and just said, here's something to get your day started. And so then the grandmother started tearing up on the phone and saying thank you for, what you're doing out there. And so then I was thankful for that because I talk a lot about how a lot of times the seed you sow, you're never going to get any fruit from it. You're just going to have to believe that, what you're doing is there's going to be some fruit some point somewhere down the road. So I was able to send it to the young adult Slack thread and said, "Hey guys, check this out."
It's awesome.
And so we were able to celebrate, that moment because something as simple as just hanging out
And for some
coffee
reason,
and
you always get
biscuits.
called into biscuits because
Yeah.
you also gave some biscuits out
Yeah.
in Midlands, the school that we went to.
Midlands
They made a
and
big
Aynor.
post about it. Thank you, Palmetto Pointe Church. Put y'all's pictures all up over the place. Thank you for coming and blessing our teachers, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
which is so cool that they recognize, a church that's just, we're not trying to get anything out of
Yeah.
this.
We don't want-
Samantha has a budget
Yeah.
that I literally said, here goes your budget, spend it, and let's impact the community. That was her only parameters. Spend the budget, let's impact the community.
And my viewpoint on it is, and I don't know, I mean, this could be corrected at some point, but yeah, it's someone said, hey, why don't you do this? With the best intentions. This person, great person, we had a good conversation. Hey, why don't you do this? Or it was about praying for people as we're handing out biscuits and stuff.
Sure.
And then I thought about the voicemail where I was where the daughter literally was having conversations about
For
how
sure.
this wasn't something that was just forced on her, that it was something like that. And so it's the same thing for, Aynor Midlands. If something like that happens where we're able to have those conversations, cool. But let's just start, just being a presence and just serving, the community and helping out. So
I saw one you went to the playground, Savannah's playground.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And y'all just out there giving out
we
water.
just packed some coolers with water. We had frisbees, Palmetto Pointe Church frisbees. We had the little Jesuses,
Nice.
and we had Bibles and stuff if people wanted it, but we didn't,
Sure.
advertise that. But just got to have some really cool conversations with parents and people who were visiting from out of town, and they're like, "Oh, this is so cool." We,
Love it.
Hand out invite cards, invite them to church, hand out chips and snacks. It was cool.
Love it.
Just hanging out.
And then I think, I don't know, I'll say last night. I don't know when this podcast drops, but anyways, sometime in the last couple days, you and a team, I think this one's cool. Y'all were packing gift bags
Yeah.
for the Miracle League,
Yes.
which I think is so cool that there were a few events yesterday or a couple days ago, whatever, but I think it's so cool that this is seemingly administration. We had no one-on-one impact with anybody except for in putting a candy in a bag. The missionary that you're sending out has what they need to make an impact in that kid's life.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that wasn't supposed to be our outreach that day.
Yeah.
We had a different one scheduled that got canceled. And so Samantha texted me this weekend and was like, what do we do? And I was like, okay, today was so much fun. Why don't we know the end of the season is next week. Why don't we put this together? I see these online, let's make their bags look like little baseballs. I was like, we could handwrite them notes. Whether or not they can actually read it, a family's going to be impacted from that,
Sure.
and feel the love of Christ. So I said, well, steer clear of, using Jesus or praying for you, things like that, just so that it stays neutral. But just a word of encouragement, you did awesome this season, we're proud of you, kind of things like that. But our church is on there, it's a postcard from our church. So it was really fun.
So
last
we're going
night.
back Saturday, not to now work with them. Now we're just going to cheer.
Yeah, just to cheer,
cheer 'em
just
on.
to
Cheer 'em
hand
on.
out
Yeah.
That's
bags.
awesome.
Yeah. So I think the most impactful part of last night was seeing we had to turn people away. People were supposed to continue to come and help us, and we packed 100 gift bags in less than an hour because we had so many people show up that wanted to be a part of it, and we were handwriting cards, and that's what took us the longest time. To at the end, everyone came in and started handwriting the cards, so everyone got to make a physical impact on that. And I think the most impactful part was at the very end, we just gathered around, we just prayed over the families that were going to receive them, the kids, just the Miracle League and their staff, the ones who volunteer there every single week, just that God would bless them. And I think
So awesome.
we just left there feeling like, man, we made such an impact, and all we did was put some things in a bag. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. We won't call by name. We won't say the name.
Okay.
But there was one that we had, maybe it was the one last night that got canceled. There was one that we had, and they said, no, we don't want you to come because we don't want it to feel like we're showing churches or a church some sort
we
of
don't want people to be
offended. So as you are walking in the community, the outreach world, do you find that people are arm's distance from you because of
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
been-
connected to?
It's been planning for this month and then implementing things, it's like, this has happened with a few events where we've had it on the calendar, and then, one of the VPs or higher-ups catch wind of, hey, we have a church coming, and they're like, no, can't do it. And so we're like trying to figure out, okay, well, can we, bake cookies and bring it to bless your staff, things like that. And they're like, okay, yeah, you can do that. We'll let you in a little bit. But it's very interesting where we're like, hey, we just want to go, buy you free coffee. And they're like, no. I think people just have this, if they're not connected to a church, or maybe they've been church hurt, or there's just this view of church of like, they're going to come in here and scare our customers away, or they're going to come in here and push Jesus down our throats.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's been really tough. So things are like, I keep telling people, check the links, because things are constantly changing. Even, day to day sometimes are like, okay, this gets canceled last minute. What are we going to do? Let's do this.
Ministry is so hard. We're like, we want to come and give you free biscuits. I'm sure that's your next outreach again. Biscuits somewhere. You're giving biscuits somewhere.
KJ's gift cards, I think. Either that or treats. It's some type of food.
So we're giving away free biscuits, and they're like, no, thank you. And you're like,
it's so strange.
No, we're
like literally, I just want to give you.
I just want to say,
That's
here.
It. Yeah.
We're like, no, thank you.
Yeah. No, we can't partner with you to do that.
There's no partnering.
I'm
just giving you free.
I'm just giving your stuff.
No.
No.
Because
so interesting.
Typically, because a church has went in there and has, pushed an envelope too far and has made things awkward. And I know what some people watching this are saying. Well, you get your chance. My God, you gotta. And that sounds great. That's not our role in this moment.
Yeah.
Our role in this moment is to show love. We're just showing the community that we love them in a very unique way every single day. And we are doing our best to build a relationship with you that you allow us to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. It has been cool. This month has been cool. It's just started, and we had that one voicemail from the CCU outreach. We had a mom from Miracle League reach out to us, and we were doing lawn care for this widow, and she just has gone online and raved about it and is telling all her friends of, hey, they're doing this, come be a part of it. Just so thankful. So it's worth it. It's hard, but it's worth it.
It is. And you will have, again, back to the people, that you will have people who are negative Nancy's and who will feel as if, so selfish, all they can see is themselves, won't see past themselves to see the good that you're doing or the good that we're doing. And there will be the off, comment and the, harsh rejection or questioning. But at the end of the day, our heart is pure.
Yeah.
We just want to love people, and we want to help people, and we want to bless people, and we want to make sure that people know that not this place, but the kingdom of God, children of God are able to walk into the world and not expect anything in return. We're not giving you a biscuit and saying, hey, can you take us up an offering? We're just giving you a biscuit and saying, hey, you got an offering. You got somebody gave you.
It's crazy.
Gave you some money.
Like $40.
$40. Guy was like, hey, I want to partner with y'all in the future. I'm so thankful for this ministry you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnny took a picture of it or took a video of himself as he is walking it into the finance room here and dropping it in the thing to show the young adults, hey, this is my accountability. I want y'all to see I'm putting this here, which is so beautiful to show that our heart is pure in this.
Yeah.
We're not doing this to try to get an offering, to try to get, we're just doing this because we want to bless the community. Our people out here, during sacred season, I said, we're going to do this month. We're going to set aside this much money to do this month. And our people have already given to this.
Yeah.
They've already said, I believe in this month enough. Now here, y'all go do this. And so yeah, somebody has, manipulated something or done something and hurt relationships in the community. And so all we're trying to do is repair some of those relationships and some of those conversations that we're having that are bigger than, bigger than a biscuit.
for sure. Almost.
Most impactful outreach you've ever done?
Oh gosh. Ooh. This might take me a minute to
I'll give you time
about.
to think. Most
Okay.
impactful outreach you've ever done?
I feel put on the spot. Hold on. Can I think too? Let
Johnny.
Johnny
I
go.
know there's so many.
Most impactful outreach you've ever done?
For me, I just love what we're doing right now with the biscuits, and I hate that we even have to take a break because of just the nature of the calendar,
School calendar,
the school
yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
But I really have enjoyed just getting young adults involved, literally on using one of our people who go to our church, one of our members here,
Yep.
one of their properties,
Which
and
is where we started our
where we
church
started-
at. Crazy.
Yeah. We got a McDonald's sponsorship up in the
Yeah.
but like it's just really cool. Just no pressure. They're developing as young adults to be able to do something like this, and you never know who's getting impacted through the.
When we started
the
early on in
handoffs.
ministry, my favorite outreach event we used to do, which they won't let us partner with them anymore, again, because churches were weird and did something stupid and probably, anyways. But my favorite outreach event we used to do was college move-in day at Coastal. And we were right there at Coastal at the time. So we would take this big group of people and we would just go to a dorm, whichever dorm we saw that needed help, and we would just help. As kids were pulling up, we would just help them carry their stuff, couches, whatever, up to their rooms, get them checked in. Hey, so nice to meet you. We're from the church down the road. All of us had our shirts on. I was we used to call it Faith in Action Week, and it was just a week back then. Church was so small we couldn't do a whole month, but it was a week, and we would have a different outreach event, and we would always plan it around when move-in day was, so that would be one of ours, and we loved it. And we got so many people that would come visit the church, so many families that were a part of it because of that outreach. Yeah. You ready?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, this is really difficult because
You love 'em all.
I love them all. I love them all, and I get to see like the beauty in it. I get to see the people that we're impacting, every week or every month or whatever. Like I get to see the behind the scenes pieces of it and all the planning and stuff that goes in. But I do remember when whatever that hurricane was that came through and it completely flooded out. The Saccarillos were living in this neighborhood at one time, and it completely flooded. And we packed meals, and we're just handing meals out on the side of the road. We were getting in kayaks and kayaking to people's front doors to deliver meals. Like, that's one that just popped into my head, and
That's
I thought,
wild.
yeah, that was wild.
Were y'all here for that?
Not yet.
Oh, that was so wild.
It was so cool just to be able to provide meals for people, and you're like literally kayaking to someone's front door. Wild.
Yeah, it was so cool. God's Pit crew and Operation Compassion actually got a semi-trailer to Conway Church of God, to which we then took 2 trailers to Conway, loaded up these 5-gallon buckets on this trailer, pulled them back to the church, and man, we gave them out. We just pulled up into, like right there at Folly Road where Chris and Rachel lived. And we would go and literally have to carry them with boots on into some of the trailers, knock on doors here. Had like a flashlight in it, water, baby wipes, things of that nature in it, batteries, different things like that inside of it. And that was super cool season.
That's crazy.
How about you?
Apart from things that we've done on mission trips, because you'll have some real
Wild
intense things that happen on mission trips, and it's just like those are impactful. But apart from that, I think just my heart being tied to people with special needs. I think the Night to Shine is one of my
love
favorite
that.
nights,
Yeah.
and the Miracle League is really just probably some of my favorite things that we've done.
Love it.
Yeah, it was really cool to get to see like some of our friends from Night to Shine out on the
Yep.
on the field, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Get to see them all dressed up, and then you get to play with them on the field. It's so cool.
Super cool. This week, let's say this is Friday, Caleb? Ish? This comes out Friday. So Friday-ish, this drops. So what else is left for the month? The last half of the month. What's some big ticket things that are out there that are going to be that are going to be interesting for people? Because people are going to watch this and they're going to want to get involved. So what's a big ticket thing that you're saying, hey, y'all should totally come and be a part of this thing?
We're definitely we're adding this one in. We're definitely going back to Savannah's. Probably a Sunday after church, like eat lunch and then meet us at 3:00 at
Awesome.
Savannah's. We'll just do like a Palmetto Pointe Love Illuminated takeover there, and we're
Super
just
cool.
gonna hang out, let parents get a break, push kids on swings, whatever.
Love it.
Hand out food, doing the lawn care stuff again. There's so much.
Do you have one?
In
You have
my
one in
brain.
Aynor?
We're doing treats for
Treats. Shocker. Shocker, y'all are doing
for
treats.
fire stations and for
Nice.
like, the police stations as well. Then we're
So
doing,
you got them like baked or something? Winter baking them?
winter. Anybody who's wanting to, if I have three things. You can go with winter. You can bake things and get them to us to hand out. And I think a big thing too, and I don't even know if we even talk about this in our own circles, is when the actual event is actually happening, praying during that time that it's
Yeah, for
happening.
sure.
Yeah.
So if you love prayer or you want to try to find a way to get involved when it's not like when you're not actually able to be there, being able to pray while you're working or whatever, just in that
Love
moment, knowing we're doing it, I think that's a good way too.
Love
We're
it.
doing KJ gift cards.
You got another one?
Yeah, we're going to Myrtle Beach State Park. We get in for free. We help them plant some plants
Awesome.
and move some signs around and whatever they need from us for 3 hours, and then they just let us hang out in there. So
Super cool.
sometimes they let us leave, go get lunch, and come back and hang out on the beach with your family. That's easy.
Awesome. You going to another one?
Yes, I can't remember off the top of my
Saturday,
head.
are
but
you going to cheer for them?
I wish I could. We have the Mother's Day
have
brunch,
Mother's
but
Day
I was
brunch.
planning on it. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Aw.
I told Samantha we need to get more involved with that.
Yeah. Carson
Next
Stout
season.
was like, I think this is going to be it for our youth. The youth
That's
came
awesome.
out.
They
loved it. And we're so
cool.
amazing. So I'm like, yes, absolutely. We've been
That's cool.
we've been talking to each other about, okay, what can the youth do? Like, what can be their thing that they champion? And I think this is it. I think
Yeah.
we found it.
It's awesome. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, super cool. Love Illuminated is more than just a sermon series or a month around our church. It should be the lifestyle in which we live. And as much as ministry is hard and it costs money to do everything, I get it. You're watching this and you're like, man, my little church, I wish we could do, how much did they charge us to do Miracle League?
Miracle League's free. We
Oh,
just
free.
show up.
Okay.
We
How
just show
much they charge us to do State Park?
Free.
Oh, you just show up.
We just
Okay.
show up.
I mean, yours, you got to buy biscuits for everything.
Mine a little
but,
bit more expensive. Worth it.
But a lot of these events are just stuff that you buy a case of water and you throw it in a cooler and a bag of ice and
That's
you
it.
go and you hang out on a playground and you know, I mean, like some of these things aren't. They're some of them are expensive.
Yeah.
You don't have to do those though. If you're watching this and you're like, I can't do, you don't have to do those. You don't have to go feed every teacher at a local elementary school. You don't have to do Night to Shine. Night to Shine is expensive. Hosting a Night to Shine. I don't remember the exact. I think it was like $25,000. I don't know, something
expensive,
crazy.
yeah.
You don't have to host a Night to Shine, but for you to go and volunteer at a Night to Shine,
Yeah.
it's free.
Yeah.
Free. You know, so there's a lot of things that you can do in the community to make an impact in the community that costs you very little. So Love Illuminated is more than a sermon series. It's more than a month that we're a part of. This is the life in which the body of Christ ought to live and what we're trying to live as a church. And as much as ministry is hard and you're going to get those comments, you're going to get those offhanded, backhanded slaps to the face, as much as you're going to get those, understand our motives are pure. Mm-hmm. Our heart is to love the community. And as those things come, you just find a way to get callous through the years.
Mm-hmm. Try to, at least, right?
Not all of us are able to do that,
No.
Johnny. But find a way to be able to, I say in leadership development all the time, like, you make right decisions because it's the right decision. Mm-hmm. If you make right decisions because it's the right decision, then years later when somebody says, why did you do that? You can go, because I thought it was the most righteous decision in the moment. Mm-hmm. And if you're making those sorts of decisions, it's way easier to walk into your future. So I would just encourage you, Love Illuminated, more than a sermon series, more than a month around here. It should be a life in which we live. And as backhanded comments come in, and as the little jabs in the ribs come and hit you, motives pure, most righteous decisions possible, and keep loving the community, because this world is in need of a church, our church, local church, whatever church you're from. This world is in need of a church that loves its community and that shares the light of Christ with its community. So keep doing it. Thank y'all for what you do. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you for what you do. Thankful for you. All right, ready? Peace.
I was about to say that. What do we do?
I don't know.